welcome back to another episode of The Grandstand here on the Ohio Patriot Education Network YouTube channel. I'm, as always, your host, AR the Ohio Patriot. And for today's episode, we're going to talk about why both Senator Chris Murphy and members of Moms Demand Action need to be catching a shitload of felony charges. Specifically, Chris Murphy needs to be charged with high treason at this point, and MDA needs to be charged with a bunch of other charges that are felonies, whether it be, uh, you know, gun grabbing or just basically total disarmament of America, etc., and pretty much high treason level shit as well is what it is. But yeah, so for those who haven't seen it, there is a video that came out of specifically Michigan this past week. I believe it was this past weekend actually, like Friday, Saturday, somewhere in there. We had a bunch of Moms Demand Action members in, I forget exactly which part of Michigan it is, if it was like Lansing area or if it was like Detroit or where it was at, but it was like an 18-minute video that some kid shot. I watched the first few minutes of it, is what it was, and then I just couldn't handle it anymore, is what it was, because it pissed me off so much. But yeah, it's basically him going up, trying to ask MDA members about different things, whatever the case be, about like what is an assault weapon, etc. They can't answer, obviously, because they don't have a fucking answer, because there isn't such a thing as what it is, dude. It's all a fucking made up term, is what it is. If you actually look back at the term assault weapon, the entire fucking category for it was created back in the 1990s by Bill Clinton and other Democrats, specifically so that they could put that 10-year fucking bullshit ban in place. And it was actually a couple years before that, because it was people like Dianne Feinstein and stuff like that who did the exact same thing in California. And so they basically created that back. They basically created that terminology back in, like, I think it was like the mid 1980s or so, like right around the time I was born is what it was. And then from there, they basically kept using it and using it and making it common language is what it was. Then, of course, 1994 rolled around. You had Biden and Feinstein, etc., bring that bullshit forward to the House and the Senate, respectively, is what it was. Or sorry, not Feinstein. Pelosi, I think, was the one that brought it forward to the Senate, the House at the time or whatever. And then it was Feinstein, Biden, Schumer, etc., that brought it to the Senate floor is what it was there. And that's the problem right there, right? Because every single one of these people, that should have been their final days in office right then and there, back in 1994. The second that they tried to enact that crap, it should have been handcuffs on their asses. It should have been, you're off to fucking federal prison for the rest of your life, basically, is what it is, for deprivation of laws, what it would have been. And that's kind of the same exact thing as happened to Chris Murphy at this point, honestly, dude. It's like when this guy is actively calling for revolutions to basically undo Supreme Court rulings, it's time for him to no longer be a sitting senator in this country. It's time for him to, his ass to catch charges right now. It's time for the federal agents out there to do their fucking job now and arrest Senator Chris Murphy for high treason, for deprivation of law, etc. And the same thing with the Moms Demand Action cunts, dude. Your Shannon Watch, Michael Bloomberg types, etc. When they are actively bribing politicians in every single state in this country right now, and that's damn sure a given at this point, when you have video evidence of happening here 2 years ago with Democrat Allison Russo in the state of Ohio, you have a guy down in Florida who is either a U.S. or a Florida congressman or senator who straight up admitted to that shit after they fucking bribed him and was never actually charged. I think actually let him keep his job too on top of that, which is even more ridiculous. It's like, come on, man, like what the hell? But that's the whole problem with our country right now is you have this two-tier justice system where as long as you're a Democrat, and especially if you're a Democrat holding office right now, and you go out there and do some shit or say some shit or whatever the case be that should clearly be felony charges at that point, oh no, you can just keep holding office then. It's fine. They're not going to charge you with anything at all. Yet, meanwhile, if you're just some random guy talking on the computer and, just go into a whole scenario, it's a what if scenario and stuff like that. Oh, knock, knock, knock. Fucking feds at your door now. Which is what happened to me a couple years ago, back in, 2009 there. Almost 4 years since that happened, actually. And it's just fucking ridiculous, dude. And when they're admitting to my face, they're like, oh, we wasted 6 days on this. It's like, yeah, exactly. And then meanwhile, less than a month after that, you got that little douchebag Casey Weinstein, another Ohio State up here, who's a Democrat, who commits a hoax on himself and was never investigated for anything at that point. And it's like, what the hell kind of bullshit justice system do we live in right now, dude? Where you can have them do warrantless searches on people like me, thanks to the bullshit NDA, etc. there, that nobody ever voted for, by the way. No American citizen would ever vote for that shit, because it's fucking insane and psychotic. Same thing with the Patriot Act. And yet they can do this stuff underneath those bullshit pieces of legislation that a bunch of presidents re-upped when they have no legal right to do so. Is what it is, dude. And it's funny to me too that you have people talking about legality here in the state of Ohio currently when it comes to our special election in August, and you got a bunch of so-called constitutional experts, which really what they mean is it's some jerk-off fucking professor at some local college, what they're talking about, who claims to be a constitutional law professor when they're not, is what it really is. And they're like, oh no, it's not legal to hold that special election now. Fuck you, dude. Fuck all y'all, man. And to sit there and call yourselves nonpartisan my fucking ass, dude. You're 100% fucking lefty douchebags is what it is, man. So, that is the entire problem currently in our society right now, dude. And that's exactly what honestly was leading to a civil war in this country pretty damn soon. I'm not sure exactly how long it'll be, whether it be 3 months down the road, 6 months down the road, a year down the road, whatever it is, honestly, dude. But I definitely think it's going to happen sometime in the next year or so. Probably before the 2024 election cycle would be my assumption at this point. And, you know, I'm going to say it like this, man. I'm gonna preface this just to make sure I never get another threat of swatting is what it is. I don't wish harm on anybody. I'm gonna say it like it is, dude. I really don't. Truth of the matter is, though, the last place that I personally would want to be is holding an elected office in this country if this country does fall in a civil war kind of event then. Because you will see, like, both sides of the fucking aisle just start, you know, doing what needs to be done and dealing with politicians at that point then. So, again, just to construe, that is not me threatening anyone. That is not me doing anything to anyone. I'm simply stating a fact at that point. I believe truthfully in my mind's eye right now that you're going to see that shit. And I think it's going to start with the Democrats. Honestly, it's going to be that interesting that it seems like, and this has happened for a couple times now. And I find it notable. I think people are fucking with me, fucking with my internet and stuff like that, dude, listening in on shit like that, because it seems like every time I do something, one of these grandstands, whatever the case be, and I get a few minutes into or whatever, start mentioning things like this, you know, start mentioning, especially Trump by name and stuff like that, all of a sudden it's like, oh, dip, shit goes out real quick. So, I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Who the hell knows? But anyway. No, the entire point I'm trying to make, though, is I think, honestly, the closer that we get to the election cycle and stuff like that, they're going to do anything they can to keep Trump from getting the nominations, what it is. And I wouldn't be surprised, given the various media coverage in the past, 5 years or so with everything, and them just, like, basically enacting this dude's attempted assassination in, like, theaters and stuff like that as, like, quote-unquote plays and shit. I wouldn't be surprised if they tried it in real life, honestly. And that's going to open up a whole can of worms at that point then, because it goes back to what Tim Ryan did last year when he should have been tried for high treason at that point. Because, sorry, when you're a U.S. sitting congressman trying to run for the U.S. Senate and you're actively calling for the murder of American citizens because they're part of the MAGA movement, your ass needs to be fucking dragged out in handcuffs at that point to a fucking federal prison, dude, period, and never see the light of day ever again is what it is. And the fact that fucking cocksucker Tim Ryan never caught any charge at all, dude, and not only caught any charge, but was still allowed to run in the U.S. Senate race against J.D. Vance is absolute fucking bullshit, dude. I am so glad that Ohio was so red that we made sure that Vance got in there, dude. And I guarantee the same fucking things happen in 2024 with that piece of fucking shit cheating bastard Sherrod Brown, dude. That guy's fucking days in the U.S. Senate are numbered right now to the 2024 election cycle, because after that shit happens, he is not going to be a U.S. Senator anymore, dude. He's going to get voted the fuck out for somebody else then. The only way that he wins again is just like how he won in 2018, which is through massive voter fraud is what it is, legitimately. And the fact that, again, little fucking rhino bitches in the state of Ohio right now, like Frank LaRose, not doing his fucking job as Secretary of State and actually investigating Sherrod Brown's 2018 cheat when I mentioned it multiple fucking times to him directly on Twitter and everything else like that, and called up his office, etc., and told him about it. I'm like, dude, seriously, do your fucking job, get the damn voter rolls from 2018, investigate this shit. Hell, give them to me, and I'll fucking find some other people. We'll go around to the fucking graveyards and find Sherrod Brown's voter base from back in 2018, dude, that have been dead for many fucking years at that point. Like, it's not that hard to figure out, dude. You start clicking fucking names off of a list. Oh shit, here's a fuck ton of people that didn't vote legally. Okay, now it's time to recall this motherfucker then. Hold a new race. Jesus Christ, not that fucking hard, dude. Seriously. And that's the problem with all this shit right now. But anyway, yeah. For anybody that ever wonders why I'm open arms about stuff like that, it's like because I see it happening so much, and it's always by the Democrat Party, dude. You know, we keep seeing it as well, for that matter. Saw it back in 2020, saw it back in 2022. Probably going to see it again in 2024 is my guess, honestly. And that's the thing, right? Like, you look at, because I was actually looking at something recently here. It was a timeline of Venezuela, of all places, where it was talking about Venezuela's timeline of events here and stuff, and how quickly they descended into madness when it came to enactments and stuff like that. So we're going to go ahead and talk about this little meme thing here, which was Venezuela timeline. 1992 becomes third richest country in the hemisphere. 1997 becomes second largest purchaser of F-150s. 2001 voted for socialist president on, quote, income inequality. 2004 private healthcare is completely socialized. 2007 all higher education becomes free. 2009, 2 years after, socialists ban private ownership of firearms. 2012, Bernie Sanders praises their, quote, American dream. 2014, opposition leaders are imprisoned. 2016, food and healthcare shortages become widespread. 2017, Constitution and elections are suspended. 2019, unarmed citizens massacred by their own government. It took only one generation of progressive leadership to plunge this country into civil war. And see, going back to 2009 right there, that is exactly why you never give up your guns. Because in 2019 is the exact reason why. Because it took them a decade to murder you after the fact. And that's the problem right now, dude. And I think we're on that timeline. I'm just not sure exactly what part of that timeline we're on right now. I think honestly it's somewhere between the 2001 and roughly the 2007. So it'd be about that 6-year time gap right now. So we still have a little bit of time right now before they would try to completely grab guns and shit. Which takes us to another story we want to talk about for a little bit, which for those that don't heard, I guess the country again, it dips out when I start talking about socialism and stuff. Weird how that works, right? But anyway, it's still going kind of unstable right now. So anyway, so basically, as I was saying, yeah, I think we're someplace between like 2001, 2007, somewhere in there. So we still have a couple years before they try to grab guns, is what it is. But yeah, Serbia, it was like one mass shooting happened over the other day. And now they basically banned all guns from private ownership, tried to do door-to-door confiscations and stuff. The thing about it is, though, when you start looking at these countries like that, though, whether it be Serbia or Kosovo or, any of those ones like that over in the Eastern European nations and stuff like that, or even like places like Poland and things, or France or Britain or whatever it is, all of those countries are literally the size of U.S. states, legitimately. Like, the amount of people that are in them and the actual land masses that they take up are equivalent to a state within the United States of America is what it is. So to sit there and be like, oh, they had a total disarmament of a citizenry and stuff like that. It's like, okay, cool. You realize that of those people, there's like 1 million or 2 of them there, right? So you're talking about like maybe 500,000 douchebags that are fucking too stupid to know about their rights is what it is, and are willing to give up their guns to a tyrannical government that's going to kill them eventually is what it is, dude, legitimately. Versus America, where we have at least 330 million people here, probably more like 450 million, depending. I would say probably closer to 500 million at this point, honestly, with all the illegals jumping our border every day is what it is now. Probably more than that now I'm thinking about it. But anyways, what you end up having, though, is you have so many people in this country they would never be able to do a total disarmament because it would lead directly to civil war. Then it would lead directly to civil war, which would then lead directly to a second revolution. Is what it would be, and that's a big thing right now. You know, I think people know that they can sort of pick and prod and stuff, but then they don't go for like the full scale disarmament because they know for a fact it would lead directly to their own deaths. Is what it is, because people won't have it. Is what it is, dude. But then you got dipshits like Chris Murphy, etc., who will kind of go full retard and do like the whole quiet part out loud stuff where they're just like, oh no, we should totally do this or whatever, and it should lead to like some fucking color revolution, basically. And it's like, how the fuck are you still sitting in U.S. Senate, bitch? Like, seriously, him and Richard Blumenthal both, for that matter, dude. Like, why does Connecticut even have senator fucking positions at this point, dude? As a state currently, when they've elected two of the biggest fucking scumbag, oath-breaking sacks of shit throughout U.S. history multiple times in a row right now, dude. These people have the ability to actually enact someone good in office, and they just keep choosing like the biggest fucking retarded pieces of shit ever, dude, to represent them in the U.S. Senate is what it is. But the problem with that is, okay, that's cool that you want the representation and everything. The rest of us don't, motherfuckers, and we didn't sign up for your bullshit fucking douchebaggery is what it is, or your fucking scumbag anti-gunner sacks of shit to be in office at this point. And that's why, honestly, I believe truthfully when it comes to things like that, that's why the American people should be able to recall anybody at any given time, honestly, dude. Or just have automatic qualification off at this point. Because it's like, when you have people like Chris Murphy who are openly calling for revolutions based on Supreme Court rulings like Heller and Bruin and stuff like that, which are 100% constitutional, by the way. When you're talking about, you know, with the Heller ruling, it would be common use, and you're talking about the Bruin ruling, it's basically, yeah, you can't just sit there and willy-nilly do a bunch of unconstitutional shit to take away people's gun rights to be able to carry and protect themselves and stuff like that. Like, enough is enough of this shit, man, for real. And my biggest problem is, honestly, I'd say the biggest problem I have personally currently is the fact that the Supreme Court itself doesn't have an actual enforcement wing, because they need to at this point, honestly. When you have them enacting a good piece of legislation, but then you have these scumbag tyrant fucks like Gavin Newsom or Kathy Hochul, etc., who shouldn't even be sitting in the governorships that they're sitting in right now, because they are massive cheaters, etc. there. And they are continuing to defy these rulings by making new bullshit legislation in response to them and committing more tyranny and more treason, etc., and more deprivation of the law, etc. Why are they still sitting in office after that, dude? Again, like, this is why we need auto DQs across the board right now. These people should be immediately, the second that they are trying to enact this kind of stuff, handcuffs go on and they are dragged out of office, fucking perp walked out the door, cameras rolling, live streamed all over the internet, live streamed all over, you know, national TV, etc. And it's like, this is what happens to you when you break your oath to office, when you attempt to deprive American citizens of our right to keep and bear arms, and we are never having it again, motherfuckers. And then you keep doing that stuff, and the next one that tries to do it, you do it to them. That'd be the case. And I would say the same exact thing, by the way, to all these scumbags here in Ohio. Every time one of these motherfuckers, whether it be Allison Russo or Casey Weinstein or fucking Cecil Thomas or any of these fucking assholes, try to enact any piece of gun legislation that is anti-gun, the second that they submit that shit into our fucking thing for legislation, it should be handcuffs, slap the fuck on, and their asses are dragged the fuck out of office by the fucking local law enforcement or federal agents, whatever. It doesn't matter, honestly, dude. But they need to be dragged off to a state prison of some kind is what it is then. And that's what they should be spending their final days on Earth then. Because it's fucking ridiculous, dude, to allow these fucking people to continue having power when they are openly depriving people of their constitutional rights, when they are openly committing some of the biggest atrocities in U.S. history right now. And it's a bunch of bullshit all the way around. So, anyway, that's pretty much it for the day. I don't really got much more to say than that, but we'll be back later to do the Oathbreakers episode about that sack of shit Justin Holland in Texas. But other than that, that's where we're at for the day right now. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. It'll be short and sweet. We'll be back later tonight with Honda and them on Rumble. So until later, I will see you guys in the next one.